Welcome to the Straight Up, No Bullshit, the Don Hanston Show. Our hosts are going to push the limits, but create an environment where it's safe to uncover the crap that holds you back so you can survive the mediocrity of today's life. And they'll be admitting and revealing their own experiences so you can learn the skills and attitude you need to be who you are. No bullshit. Warning to all listeners: if you have thin skin and get offended easily by harsh, direct, or somewhat offensive content and language, then this podcast may be overwhelming. However, we believe pulling your blinders off and viewing things from a real perspective may feel invigorating and may be the very thing that may cause you to expand your capabilities exponentially. Now here's your host.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us at the Don Hanston Show, Straight Up, No Bullshit. And me and Sal are here today. Marcus may be joining us later, and we'd like to cover a lot of different things. A lot of it's got to do with perspective. I know a lot of times we cover things in the news. We kind of want to talk about perspective and how these things affect us and different ways of looking at the same thing. Sal?
Yeah, I agree with you. It has been a slow news cycle, obviously, because of the holiday and stuff, although there are a few things we can get to them later, but I'm all about perspective tonight, that's for sure. I'm ready to go.
So I want to start with last night I was at a Christmas party, and I saw my niece, and she's involved in the financial world. And so I ask different people different perspectives that come from different arenas. And her being in the financial world, they're not allowed to have anything to do with cryptocurrencies of any kind, her or anyone in her family. And so I said, I want to ask you, you still feel the same way about crypto? And she said, oh, it's funny that you ask. And she said, I just talked to some of my big clients that got debanked. They were crypto people, big clients from Silicon Valley. And I said, debanked, what does that mean? And she said, well, all the banks that they dealt with, they closed their accounts and would not allow them to use any of their banking tools. And therefore their money was kind of stuck either in these wallets or in these exchanges where even though they had millions upon millions of dollars, we weren't able to switch it back to pay bills and stuff, because that's how you kind of do it. I don't know if everyone that listening really knows about crypto. From what I understand, it's only like 5 to 10% of people that are involved, and I am involved. So she says, Google it. Google the crypto debunking in Silicon Valley. And so I didn't find anything at Silicon Valley, but I was looking it up, and there's something called Operation Choke Point and 2.0, and it's denying banking to those that are involved in cryptocurrency, right? So I guess it was drafted by the Obama administration. Sorry, I'm reading this because this is all fresh news for me, and I was blown away by this. To potentially stop money laundering and any like illegal activity. That's what it originally was designed for. And as of lately, it's been used as like a political weapon. Okay. And as we know, most of the Democratic politicians are against cryptocurrency. Okay. Because they want to keep the currency alive. You know my thoughts on it. I think it's all deception, that it's to, really take advantage of people that utilize the U.S. currency. But anyways, so 2.0 undermines operating efficiently of the U.S. crypto sector. Okay, they're trying to halt, the innovation of the change of money, because things are changing. Trump says he's gonna shut this thing down, this Operation Chokehold. But from what I'm reading, it may be hard for him to do because there's all these different levels of bureaucracy that's going to kind of get in the way of things. And I already mentioned, so they're using this as a tool for the political reasons, right? And so here's where it gets interesting. So it targets crypto companies, pushing banks to limit their services for clients working in the crypto sector. Okay. The FDIC has an attack on crypto. Okay, in 2022, this is really interesting. In 2022, if you guys remember, FTX went away, right? Everybody lost a lot of money. Remember that thing with Tom Brady? He was on the Super Bowl ads about FTX, and then it went kaput, and all these people lost all this money. Well, it forced Voyager and Celsius, okay, to freeze accounts. So a lot of people got screwed up. And really, what that did, okay, we come to find out that the FDIC was pressing the banks to stop working with crypto companies, okay, and forcing that particular issue to put kind of like a black cloud over the crypto sector, so people felt as though it was an unsafe area to invest and create, a lot of wealth. And so what had happened was the banks, they don't want backlash from the FDIC. So they're going to kind of go along with what they want. And really what's interesting here is we think that it's the crypto sector that's unsafe, but it's really our government. These FDIC is obviously an appendage of the government, sector of the government. They actually forced this to happen. Okay, so they actually forced a lot of people to lose money, but they made it seem as though the cryptocurrency exchanges were there taking advantage of people. They're very unsafe places to put their money, but they actually created the situation. So it reminds me so much of all of these different things. The FDA, right? How they approve these things that are okay in foods. Okay, that the only reason they're approving it is because we get a lot of money from these lobbyists. Okay, it's unsafe, and that's why everybody's unhealthy. And it goes into a whole chain, right? Why do they want you unhealthy, right? Pharmaceutical companies, do they make money if you're healthy? Hell no. Okay, hospitals. Okay, do they make money if those beds are empty? Hell no. So you got to ask yourself a couple questions. Okay, do you think that they want you healthy? Okay, do you think that they want you to get better long term? No, it's all short term care. It's all what we're going to do is we're going to create all these problems for you, okay, and we'll give you a solution, okay, that's a band-aid for your problem. But overall, you're going to be addicted to the. You're going to need us as the pharmaceutical company. You're going to need us as a hospital. You're going to need us as the insurance company. And now you're seeing all this vigilante stuff going on. The guy that killed the CEO of United Healthcare, I think it was United Healthcare. You saw that woman that was killed in the that worked for the CDC, where they came in and they gave her like, I don't know, 150 doses of the COVID vaccine and killed her. I mean, there's all kinds of shit going on, and you wonder why. Well, these people are paying so much money. And now that the free speech is out there and that Elon Musk has opened it up, people are becoming aware of a lot of the things that are happening. And so now these people, they can run, but they can't hide. People know who they are and where they are hiding within the government. And so, I don't know, you got any input on this, Sal?
Well, do you think, okay, so backtracking that,
yeah,
XDX or FDX, that was crypto?
FTX, yes.
FTX, that was crypto, correct?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
It was an exchange.
Okay, so I don't remember that with the Tom Brady thing.
Sam Bankman-Friedman, or I think his name was the guy, and he was taking money and he was investing it somewhere else. But I think what had happened was that the banking system wasn't allowing the money to flow in the right direction.
So what year was this, would you say?
Oh, Jesus.
Do you think it was around 15?
No, this is like 2 years ago.
Oh, boy. Yeah, no, I don't remember that. But me just diving into the crypto myself about a month ago. But so do you think this is something that Vivek and Elon will keep an eye on, just like we have Kennedy keeping an eye on the big pharma like you were talking about?
Well, interesting that you mentioned that, because I donate money in different places, so I get a lot of information that most people don't get privy to. And it turns out that Elon Musk, okay, and Vivek Ramaswamy are putting together, they're going to have a weekly podcast, okay? So they're going to go in and they're going to investigate these governmental departments, okay? And they're going to find out where the problems fall into play. And not only are they either, I don't know if they're going to arrest, they're going to fire, I don't know what they're going to do, but they're going to report all of this stuff. I believe, this is my thoughts. They're going to report all this stuff on a network that's going to be a podcast that's going to be out there for everyone to see. So these people are going to be unveiled, okay? So everyone's going to know who's the thief, who's the people that screwed them, who's the people that stole their money. And I think it's going to be horrible for these people, which, I mean, I think it's great because it's time to pay the piper, but I think it's ingenious, to be honest with you, because they can't hide behind this bureaucracy.
Yeah.
You know?
Boy, what are they going to do to go against this, though? Because you're affecting a lot of people's livelihood. And when I say livelihood, I mean the money that they've been taking in because of this, pulling the wool over our eyes. All of a sudden, that's going to stop. What is going to be their recourse? That's the thing you have to look at. You have to be prepared for how they're going to react and respond to this. But wow, especially with them coming out every week to give updates.
And you know as well as I know, because I get one idea in my head, I do a little bit of research, and it's overwhelming the amount of stuff that you're like, where do you even start talking about this stuff, because it's so much stuff.
Well, you start with one concept of them deceiving us, and you started with the crypto, and what did it do? It snowballed into big pharma and chemicals in our food, and what else is that going to go into? I mean, it's probably everything, because
hospital, healthcare, it goes
the
on
lobbyists,
and on.
Sure.
And you know, I don't know if people are getting the soiled feeling on a lot of these corporations, but like insurance companies, okay? Yeah. My rates have doubled, okay? My rates have doubled in the last year on everything, okay? I don't even use insurance, okay? I don't crash the cars. I don't get sick. The house hasn't burnt down or been robbed. I don't use this shit, and it goes up double, okay? Now, they're totally cool, not only accepting the premiums, but boosting the premiums, okay? But when it comes time to pay out, you know what? Yeah. You didn't have a security system on your house, or, you know, I think it's no fault, so I think it really was your fault, so we're going to up your insurance. We're not going to pay for the damage, but it's your $500, $1,000 deductible. All this bullshit. Or, oh, no, we don't cover wind damage because there was no high recorded wind in your area at that time on that.
Right.
Oh, fuck yourself. You guys have been robbing me with these premiums, okay? And then I finally come, I want to collect some money. Oh, no. You're sorry, dude. We don't pay for that shit.
Yeah, well, they send out the adjuster, and their job is to, you know, keep their money any chance they can.
And I could go on and on and on with like personal experiences, right? My other house that I have, the wind, it destroyed the roof, collapsed the roof. They came out, they came out. They said, no, we don't cover it because there was no bullshit. There was no wind above a certain mile per hour recorded on the time frame that you said that this happened. I'm like, what? That's what they said.
And they keep
it was
raising
crazy.
the rates, and they blame it on the hurricanes and stuff like that. They say, well, that's why insurance is going up. Well, there's
absolutely nuts. For what? Like, honestly, I'm almost thinking like people are better off self-insuring.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, to some extent.
Drive safe, carry a gun, like protect your house, protect your family.
But
do what you're supposed to do, self-insure. Something gets robbed, you got to replace it. You know, you crash the car, you got to get it fixed.
They control the automobile road because you have to have at least liability, or else you're in violation. So that's a way for them to. I mean, I know that protects the people that get into accidents that have insurance when the other person doesn't, but it's just a simple step of them manipulating the system to make sure, let's make it a law that you have to pay for insurance. And that's what they did with that liability, because I believe that's somewhat new, maybe within the last 25, 30 years. I want to say when I first started, I don't know if the liability law for vehicle insurance was a mandate or not. I'd have to go back and check. But I know there was one point where you didn't have to have, you weren't breaking the law if you didn't have insurance on your vehicle. Then they said, well, you have to have it at least liability. But it's interesting. I wonder when that did go into effect. But, just something you could think about now, that the government is forcing you now to pay for insurance on your vehicle, which I think is a smart thing. Don't get me wrong, but
people should have insurance because, but,
yeah,
but I mean, they have things to make, like you say, to make sure that you have that insurance, and they suspend the tag or the plates, right?
yeah.
And then after that, then they suspend your driver's license, right? If you don't carry insurance and you can't prove that you have insurance. So they have these things in line to make sure that you either have to get insurance or you be penalized, right? And so, yeah, I mean, the government is used to force all of these issues, right? And at the end of the day, it's all for these big corporations, And the same thing with the healthcare, right? If you don't have healthcare, okay, did you know that when you file your taxes, you have to pay more money?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes, you have
Really?
to prove that you have health insurance. Otherwise, there's a line with a certain amount of money that you have to pay. I'm not making that up.
Kind of like buying a home, you have to prove that you have homeowners insurance, that you're going to have that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, or if you got less than 10% to put down on a property, right? You got to get PMI, private mortgage insurance, okay?
Yeah.
Like all of these things are designed for big corporation, okay? All these laws are designed to help big corporations, okay?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, big corporations have so much money that they're able to pay, right, people to lobby to advantage themselves, to leverage themselves over the consumer, over the people, right? Mm-hmm. And so then they make laws. Now the laws enforce so that the corporation makes money and they leverage the consumer. So the consumer is basically leveraged by politics. It's bullshit, okay? Bullshit. Kind of like, do you want a war in Ukraine? Do you want Ukraine starting a nuclear war with Russia? No, neither do I. Do we got to pay for it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we got to pay for it. We want to pay for any of this bullshit. No, we don't want to pay for this shit. Okay. Do you have to? Yep. You got to pay. You got your taxes. We're gonna charge sales tax. We're gonna charge real estate tax. As a matter of fact, we're gonna double your real estate tax. All this bullshit. We don't want to pay for this shit. Okay. We don't want that. And so the bottom line is, first they made it, well, if, the majority votes for these people, and these people say that this is what we're going to do, everyone's got to pay for it. And then they started putting it, then they started placing these people in office saying, yeah, they were elected. Now you got to do whatever we're going to do because they were voted in, even though they really weren't voted in. And you got to pay regardless, go fuck yourself. You're paying. And now I think it's going in the other direction. Now I think it's like, I don't know, because it hasn't happened yet. These new people, Trump and these new people haven't even gotten in office yet. But my belief is everyone's going to be held accountable. This is going to be a crazy world. Like you said, what's going to be the repercussion of all of this? Okay, because all of these fat cats are not going to like it.
No.
Okay, guys like me and you are going to like it because let's face it. Do we need our real estate taxes to double so they could send money to Ukraine or?
Well, the last administration needed all the money they can get because they were giving it away to everybody, all the countries. Right. They were giving it to everybody but the citizens that pay the taxes.
Right. And then you talk about like this last election that just happened. And obviously, we didn't have the turnover yet. And Harris, she got what $1.3 billion to try and get the president's office. Oh, gee, I wonder why she got so much money, okay? So they could continue with the corruption and steal trillions of dollars. I mean, there's no way are you going to give somebody that's that intelligence level that kind of money to try and get in the president. Obviously, there's leverage, and obviously those people didn't want to lose, okay? And obviously, even though she lost pretty heavily, okay, you know that there was corruption going on in there. I don't know what you know or what you don't know, but that kind of money behind her push, those people were not going to lose, and they lost. And so, I don't really know where it's all going, but I think that people are going to be held accountable, and I think heads are going to spin in all directions. And it could be the guys, pushing these laws through and holding people accountable whose heads are spinning. But chances are it's going to be a lot of, I think that these people are going to be unveiled. These criminals that have been hiding behind the scenes are going to be unveiled. And not only are they going to get in trouble with the law and everything else, but they're going to be public enemies. When people realize how badly these people harmed them, okay? It's kind of like Fauci. I just saw the Tucker Carlson one with the guy that made the movie on Fauci. Yeah. He didn't say anything that I didn't already know, okay? That they made the virus, that they made the COVID shot, that there was medicine that got rid of this coronavirus that they invented, but they couldn't have a vaccine if they had things that solved the problem. So they had to take chloroquine, and they had to take ivermectin, and they had to make it not only it doesn't work, but nobody can get it, nobody can subscribe it. No doctors can subscribe that stuff, or prescribe, that's the word. And so, because if they had those, then they couldn't put out a vaccine. But they had those, so they had to dismiss the fact that they worked. So the corruption's so fucking deep that I can't even get my fucking arms around it. And so I got my fingers crossed that all of these motherfuckers get held accountable, because it's absolutely ridiculous. I saw a meme the other day. It says, Biden, or no, Fauci poisoned us. What does it say? Let me look at this. And go ahead.
Well, I think it's interesting because, unfortunately, we'll never know how Harris blew $1.5 billion. We're not going to know that. But what we will know is how we're funding NPR, public radio, thousands and thousands of dollars a year for their state-of-the-art business building that they have in Washington. So we're going to find all that stuff out. But with Harris, we'll probably never know.
There's certain things that we don't need to know. But here, wait, I don't know if you see it. I'm going to try and put it on there so you can see it, if you can see it. I poisoned you. Go ahead and read it.
I poisoned you and your family, and I got away with it. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this guy's feet are going to get held to the fire. Now, we talked about this last week, that Joe Biden's supposedly going to pardon this clown. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not a lawyer or anything else, but I still say, if you're pardoning somebody for something that they have not been charged with, okay, not only are you saying that they were guilty of that crime, but you are saying that you were a co-conspirator because you knew that crime had happened and was happening. So basically, if you're dumb enough to pardon somebody for something that they have not been charged with, I think you're all going to jail.
Well, also,
what do
if
you
you're
think about
doing that, you're worried that you're going to be implicated as well. So you might as well stop it on that end. Or else, why would he pardon him? I could see him pardoning his son because it's his son, it's blood. But when you're going to pardon someone like Adam Schiff or Fauci or someone like that, that's CYA. That's covering his behind, because he knows that if they go after Fauci, Fauci might say, hey, hold on one second. I was told what to do by the incoming president at the time. So he knows that if he pardons Fauci, that's going to protect him. Same way as it did with him pardoning his son. And especially going back 10 years, 11 years. That just shows that Biden pardoned himself too, because now he can't be implicated in anything, as far as we know. But with Fauci, yeah, I think he is going to pardon him. We got 2 weeks. I think he's going to pardon a lot more people.
Let me throw a spin on this, Sal. You're a cop, so maybe you can get your arms around how my mind works, because most people can't. So let's just say you live 6 doors away and we're friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you killed the lady next door to you, right? And you say, and all of a sudden I become president or something, and I'm pardoning you for killing your neighbor. Okay. Basically, what I'm doing is saying you killed a neighbor, and I knew about it. Okay. Whether I participated in how we killed her, or you killed her, or just me knowing about it, what makes us all guilty? We all need to go to jail. You don't agree with that?
You know what? I agree with what you're saying, because I don't think it's right that you're able to pardon somebody who hasn't been charged with a specific crime yet.
Exactly.
I've never heard of a blanket pardon.
So that's why I think that the attorneys, because these guys are intelligent people, and they're going to put these people in jail. If they start pardoning all these people for shit that they have not been charged with, I think that all of these idiots are going to jail. That's just my opinion, but I don't see how it could go any other way. Because you could say, oh, well, Fauci was just messing with medicine. No, basically mass murdered people, like so many people, between the coronavirus, okay, between those shots, and what these two things did to all these people. I mean, I personally know probably a dozen people that have recently died from blood clots, from pneumonias, from all of this shit that was created back when Corona was the end thing. Like, everything's Corona. You got decapitated. You died from coronavirus. Now it's blood clots. It's heart attacks. It's pneumonia. It's whatever this bullshit is.
Yeah,
they don't
it's
say
a lot.
anything. They don't say anything is coronavirus anymore.
No,
They
they
don't
don't.
mention that shit. They don't do
No.
tests anymore. There's no more masks. They're running away from this thing like a hot potato.
Well, there's
because
no
they
more
know
money to be made, and there's no more elections to steal. So
it's not just that, the accountability. They're running
Right.
away from the accountability.
You know
because
what's
it's
funny,
coming.
though? When you said that before, when we were talking about blanket pardons, isn't it something how the left was all up in arms when the Supreme Court said that if you're a president, you can't be charged with a crime if you did something while you were president? And the left got all upset about that. Although it's okay to pardon someone and, in a sense, not charge someone who wasn't even convicted of a crime like Biden did going 10, 11 years back. That's okay. You could do a pardon from years ago. You could retroact the pardon. But when the Supreme Court said, well, you can't charge him because it was presidential while he was president, they were all up in arms. Why aren't they up in arms now saying, well, wait a minute, how are you going to retroact this back 11 years to protect civilians, because that's what Hunter was, for crimes? See, and that's the thing. If it benefits them, it's okay. If it doesn't, then it's wrong. And that's basically what you're saying. It all ties in together, is that the fix is in.
It's only logical, right? I mean, like I've said before, I'm not an educated guy from school. I'm from the school of hard knocks. If it makes sense, if the shoe fits, wear it. I mean, smells like a skunk, or what do they say? Walks like a chicken, talks like a chicken. It's a chicken. I mean, you just got to use common sense these days. I mean, once you start mixing it up, you know what I mean? Once you start trying to make all this confusion, all you're doing is you're trying to pull the wool over the eyes. Is all you're doing. You're trying
That's
to
what they've been
manipulate
doing.
the idea.
Yeah,
And
makes
so
sense.
and so another thing I want to talk about, data, right? We all talk about data. Data could be news, data could be information, it could be articles, could be whatever. It's where you're getting your meat and potatoes, your information for your critical thinking, which you should do. But most people don't. They just read it and yeah, that's fact.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, with data, is you have to understand a couple of things about data, okay? Is who advantages from that information that you're getting, okay? And a lot of the information that a lot of people are getting, unfortunately, is from medias. A lot of it's through just mainstream or lamestream, whatever you want to call it, lamestream media,
Yeah.
or it could be social media. And a lot of these things are sponsored by companies that have advantages, right? And I'm gonna make up some shit. I'm gonna say, okay, let's just say red dye number 13. Okay. It's really, it's really good for you. And that's why we put it in all the cough medicines, and it's safe, and you should feel good when your children are doing it. And then they put out a report that says red dye number 13 and enhances your life and everything. All right. Then you go to find out that who's actually sponsoring this. A lot of times it's big pharma, right? Big pharma. Now you go to a link, and you go to a link that's actually looking for the betterment of people, an environment, right? I think there's one that I subscribe to. It's called EWG, and so they talk about things in food, fertilizers. They talk about air quality. They talk about drinking water. And they rate all of this stuff: scents, colognes, sunscreens, you name it. Okay, the dyes in food. Thickening agents and
chemicals in
cream.
clothing too. Let's not forget
all of this
that.
stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
And how they fare it is how it affects the consumer, right? So
Right.
this is on the side of the consumer, right? So if you're reading stuff that is sponsored by people that are actually trying to make things better, okay, that's high quality data, okay? Because you saw something on TV, eggs are good for you. This guy says they're bad for you, whatever. Who is that information advantaging? Okay. And what you find out is a lot of the stuff is paid for. It's been lobbied. Okay. It's been paid for, and it's been sponsored by a lot of these big corporations. And these big corporations, they don't care about you. They care about their bottom line. Okay. So, I read and watch all this stuff. They talk about the things you shouldn't have in your kitchen, the plastic cutting boards. They talk about the amount of plastic that your body intakes from cutting on plastic cutting boards. They talk about all the things that don't belong in your kitchen. Well, it's not about bottom line. It's about your health. Okay. These are the places that you want to get your data from. And if you can figure that out, okay, then you could do your own critical thinking and think, well, how much plastic am I really eating because I use plastic cutting boards? The bottom line is, I don't care what the topic is. Figure out where you're coming up with your information, okay? How do you ferret as credible information? And I think that that's very important for people to think about this, because I think most people don't. They hear it, and either they believe it or they disprove it immediately.
Well, I think a lot of the people make their decisions on the source, because someone like me and you, who I tend to think that we're more critical thinkers than some people out there, not everyone,
Sure,
but it's the source. If they're hearing something from what they consider to be a legitimate source, well, then that's it, And like you said, the lamestream media or something. And it's the same thing with anything. Even, how they talk about Trump with how he's going to start World War III, how he's going to do this, how he's going to, if you hear Joy Reid say that on MSNBC, then you have a whole list of people who come out and repeat that and say, oh, he's going to start it, he's going to do this. Without being critical thinkers, you just think that's what it is. And it's the same thing with what you're saying. Considering the source where the people hear it from, if they believe it, if they believe that red dye number whatever is okay for you, and they hear it from their source, even though it might not be true, well, then it's true to them, and they'll go ahead and do whatever they want. This goes back to everything, though. Like we were talking about on the last show with the drones. You have somebody, I heard somebody else saying, oh, well, that's no big deal, because that's kind of out of the news now. I think the media is trying, if you just Google it, you could see Google's trying to suppress it now, too. But people are saying, someone came out and said, oh, they're just stars up there. And then you get a lot of people saying, oh, it's nothing, it's stars. So getting back to what you were just saying, a lot of people believe this stuff based on the source they listen to. And once they hear it, that's it. And then it spreads. It just keeps spreading out there. And that's what the problem is, because people can't do the investigations on their own. They don't have the smarts to go out there and say, well, let me see what this really is. Is this red dye good for you or is it not? They'll just hear it on MSNBC or CNN and say, no, it's good for you. It's okay. No big deal. It's just Trump who has this Kennedy who's making a big deal out of nothing, and they'll run with it. That's the problem, in
Yeah,
my opinion.
and unfortunately, those are the people that are perishable. Those are the people that I think that there's going to be a lot. I was at one of my natural doctors today, and he said this is going to be really interesting times coming up. And I said, absolutely. He goes, it's going to be really good for the people that are strong and the people that can critical think, and it's probably going to be bad for the people that are weak and the people that don't have critical thought. And I said, amen, brother. I
Yeah.
completely agree with you, because these people that are told something and they go with it and they believe it,
Yeah.
these people are going to perish. These people that, with a lot of this woke mentality, they buy into all of this nonsense. It's not going to fare well for them. I mean, it,
Well, it
there's going to be a
hasn't.
lot. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to happen. They're not going to be prepared for it,
Well,
And
yeah, the woke's bad. I mean, even Disney today announced, I think it was this morning, they announced that the spinoff, or one of the extensions of the Star Wars show called Acolyte, they featured in there a lesbian group of witches. Their main star is a transgender, and they found, I mean, I think it cost them over $29 million to put out the season, if I'm even accurate with that, something like that. And nobody watched it. They just didn't want to watch it. So Disney says, that's it. After one season, we're done with this. So I think Disney and a lot of other companies are starting to realize that this DEI and this woke is not working for them. Where for 4 years, we were all force-fed that this is the way to go. This is the right thing to do. And the followers, and I have a lot of friends who are followers. I have a lot of friends on Facebook, believe me, that are just not educated people. And they will fight you over the dumbest stuff because they hear it and they don't have the smarts to look into it to see what's right and what's wrong. I had people argue with me before the election, arguing with me over stuff that I couldn't even comprehend. Like, you get to a point where you can't even argue with people because they hear it and that's it. And they were force-fed that for 4 years, and now it's gospel to them.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it's not gonna fare well with these belief systems, because I think that it doesn't align with what's real and what's not.
Right.
And I know that reality is all what we make real, not what other people make real. Everyone creates their own reality, but you got to be careful the reality that you do create, because if it's something that's bizarre and out there, and it really doesn't follow any logic, it's probably going to work against you. And I don't think people see it that easily. And
Yeah.
you know, unfortunate. But anyways, yeah, these have been some great topics. You got anything else that you'd like to share?
No. I don't know a lot of the stats, but I know MasterCard came out today and said that actually retail sales were above what they forecast. So that's a good thing. I think consumer confidence is up, probably because the new administration's coming in. I don't
Absolutely.
think it would be above expectations if a certain individual won the election. That's just my opinion.
There's no doubt.
There is going to be an issue, I think, with the Speaker of the House. I think Mike Johnson's going to have a hard time getting in as Speaker of the House because of this last bill that he put together. A lot of the Republicans didn't like it. So the problem with that is if they don't have a Speaker of the House, they're saying that could delay Trump's certification for president. So I don't know how that's going to work into anything. And also, the border czar Holman said that he's ready to open up and resume the detention centers for the families. So I'm sure that's going to be, they're going to be screaming about that on the left, the detention, even though these people they broke the law and they're here illegally, people are going to start screaming. And come that first day, I'm just waiting to see what Holman's going to do. I know he's going to start in the Midwest. I know he went to start in Chicago, and I'm okay with it because that mayor still wants to fight him. And our misguided governor in Illinois, although he's kind of backed down a little bit, but he's another one,
He comes up and starts holding these people accountable. I mean, I hate to say it, but you have to set an example somewhere.
And then the last thing, I'm sure you heard this, but over the holidays that You had Kathy Hochul, the mayor of New York, taking selfies and posting stuff on the internet saying that the subways are safe, and she added this and she added that. It's okay, right? The subways were safe. And just as she got done with that, one of these migrants had a young girl who was sleeping on one of the trains, and he lit her on fire and killed her. I don't know if you heard that, but
I only saw that through a social media post about about a guy who had like lighter fluid or something. He set her on fire.
And you want to know what? I don't think anybody on the train really jumped up to do anything. And why do you think that is?
They'll get in trouble because he's the illegal immigrant.
Right.
He's got more rights than you as a citizen.
That's right. Everything they do has repercussions. Now another person lost their life because of an illegal who had committed crimes before. I think has been here since 2018. But if they weren't here and the government did their job, that girl would be alive. And what a horrible story. I mean, really, young girl, pretty girl, fell asleep on the train. She wakes up, she's on fire and dies. Unbelievable.
That blood is on this administration's hands.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think it's more than just on their hands. And you know, I was talking to somebody about this, and they didn't necessarily agree with me, and that's fine. But I said, all right, if you're the owner of the company, right? You're the guy at the top. You're the guy that's held responsible for everything that happens within your company. I feel like it's the same way. If you're the president, you're the vice president, okay? Yeah. You let illegal people that are criminals, that are known criminals, into the country, and they start killing people like that, you should be held accountable. That, as far as I'm concerned, you're the murderer. That's how I look at it. I know,
and so should your staff, who you put.
All those
Mayorkas, who got up there and said, our border is secure. It's a flat out lie.
He needs to go to jail. All these people need to go to jail because you're accountable. You made that. If it wasn't for your bad decisions, that wouldn't have happened. And I understand people make bad decisions, but they knew they were making bad decisions, and they knew that people knew that they were making bad decisions, and they're like, what are you going to do about it? I'm in charge. Too bad. And now, there's been a lot of stuff that's gone on. And, there's been quite a few girls that have gotten killed by these monsters.
Oh, yeah. It's terrible.
It's horrible. And
these people should not have been here. That's the thing that gets me. They should not. And if Biden kept the border secure, if he kept it the way it was when Trump was in office, if he kept it the way it was when Obama was in office, or Clinton, or any other president, them girls would be alive right now. And it is sickening, just sickening to think about that all could have been avoided. And why did they open the border? I think one of the big things was they wanted their votes, which they didn't even get anyways. So all these people died for what? For nothing.
And the destruction to this country is I mean, we haven't even seen it yet. We haven't seen the repercussion of all these people here.
No, I just like to see how long it's going to take to get everybody out. And the left is going to be screaming and showing pictures of these people behind the fences and everything. You just get ready for it.
But nobody watches the news anymore, so who cares? They can put whatever they want on.
Everybody is watching podcasts, except for the right. Their media is up. I heard this morning that Joy Reid and someone else on MSNBC was told that they are getting a pay cut. So little by little, they are hurting. They're suffering. First, we had Rachel Maddow take a $5 million pay cut. Now Joy Reid, who is a extreme racist, just horrible person, she's taking a pay cut. And they said, if you want to stay, you're going to make less money. So we'll see what she's going to do. And it's funny, like these people like Don Lemon and everything, they're going to podcasts, and it's funny, no one's listening to them.
Well, just listen to that shit. We didn't want to hear you when you're on TV for free.
Right. We didn't want to hear you anyways. And one last thing before we end. Did you happen to hear who Trump is saying that he recommends that Canada put as their next prime minister?
No.
Do you have any guesses? Think hockey.
Cam Neely.
No. Trump came out and said that Trudeau should step down and the people of Canada should elect Wayne Gretzky as the next prime minister.
There you go.
Isn't that great?
I'd like Cam Neely, though. That'd be good.
Yeah, I've never been a Bruins fan, but he's a good player, but I don't like the Bruins. But I did hate the Oilers, too. I will tell you that. But
yeah.
I wonder if he would take it,
That would be great.
I think it would be great.
Yeah.
It just goes to show you, Trump's just, he's just one of us. He just happens to have a lot more money than we do.
I like the fact that he's a ball buster. People don't like that. I like that. Yeah. I like how he lets stuff roll. Yeah, it comes across as arrogance, but who cares?
I don't.
Calling people names. I think that's cool. I think that's awesome, And nobody's runs around with a real name anymore, Sleepy right. Joe and, all this stuff. It's hilarious. And to me, that's very embracing to me. I love the fact that he does that, and where people are like, oh, he needs to be respectful toward people. Anyways.
I look forward to his daily briefings like we had 4 years ago. I loved it.
Yeah. So hopefully things really go in the right direction. It's been a great show. Yes. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on the Straight Up No Bullshit Don Hanston Show. And everybody have a great night. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
I know.
Thank you for tuning in to the Straight Up No Bullshit, the Don Hanston Show. We hope we enlightened you and expanded your perspectives with our bold and honest discussions about what might be holding you back from being your genuine self. And with a simple click to subscribe, we'll invite you back to the next episode. If you want to know more, go to straightupnobullshit.com. We'll see you next time.